Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the Saints Network podcast, your weekly dose of all things Southampton Football Club and sometimes a look at the wider championship. This week, we'll have a little look at international football. I've got opinions. Before I get into those opinions, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit all those magical YouTube buttons. First, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. Smash subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified for future uploads and videos and when we go live. All of those things that you press are super helpful. They're all free to you and they're helpful to us and the algorithm gods. And if by proof on Monday, we finally hit 1,000 subscribers on the channel, thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Another big milestone smashed. What would you consider the next big milestone? 5K, 2K, 10K? What's the next big one for you that we should aim towards?
It's got to be 2K, innit?
You reckon 2?
Do two and then I'd
have gone 500, 1,000, 5K, 10K.
Well, why'd you ask me then?
That's what I would have done. Well, I'll let you say it. I don't mind. I've got enough channels. You can you can pick this
1 million.
So thank you so much. Anyway, thank you so much for everybody who's subscribed and come and join us. You're all amazing human beings. We appreciate you. Hopefully you're enjoying the show still. So this weekend's an odd one. The reason why this weekend's an odd one is because there's no football. That's a lie.
No proper football.
There's no proper football. There's football. There's just no Championship football. There's no Premier League football. We are in the international break. I hate it. Does anyone care about international football anymore?
It's not just that it's an international break. I wouldn't necessarily mind, but it's flipping 4 games into the season. No one cares.
Yeah, I think Alfie, who is on the TSP, so the Total Saints podcast, tweeted that it's the first time he'd left an England game at half time.
You didn't watch it, did you?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, my God.
Honestly, I hold my hands up, chat. I love football. I really enjoy football. I like watching Saints. I sometimes enjoy watching other Championship and Premier League games. I have quite literally zero interest in international football, and I haven't had interest in international football for a long time. I haven't watched any recent World Cups. I haven't watched any recent Euros. When the whole country goes, "It's coming home," I'm like, you're all fucking losers. It's not.
I have watched 3 games of football this week. I've watched Republic of Ireland versus, I think it was Hungary.
Yep.
That was right. I watched England versus Andorra, and the best game was watching Bromley versus Gillingham.
So we've had the international break, which sucks. We'll talk a little bit about the players who are on international duty, though, because we will, because it's relevant for Saints players. It is interesting because it does mean that some of the squad, at least, have been away on international duty, which means they haven't been at Staplewood and at St Mary's prepping for what, for me, I think is actually probably the most important game of the season so far, and could be one of the most important games of the season in general.
Yes.
Especially because it's bragging rights, right? So certain players have been away. And that's important because obviously the squad is actually quite a new one. If you think about the business that was done on the Friday before the previous game, over the weekend and on deadline day, only Finn Azaz, who came in from Middlesbrough, got on in the squad essentially for that last game. So we've got Fellows wasn't able to play.
Yeah.
Casper Yander wasn't able to play. Cienza wasn't able to play. A few, I would consider probably some of our big signings. Well, actually, not what I would consider. They are some of our big signings who weren't able to play at the weekend. And so, with international duty, it means it's a bit discombobulated, it's a bit fractured going into what is an important one. And thankfully, the derby obviously has moved to Sunday at lunchtime because it's a derby, so less chance of people getting pissed up before a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday and causing lots and lots of problems. Makes sense, right? So we do get an extra day of training once they return from international duty before we have to play. But it is derby day.
Yes.
And it's important because it's derby day.
Yes.
So we thought we'd do a little show tonight to talk about the fact that it's coming, what we think we're going to see, maybe what we think the lineup's going to look like, Pompey's form so far, how they've been, and we're going to jump into that kind of stuff, right? So you've done a little bit of digging on Pompey so far this season.
I felt a bit dirty after doing it, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk us through it, or would you like me to read through the notes?
No, look, I'll give it a brief overview for now. People understand where Pompey are. Pompey are obviously above us in the league at the moment, but we are only 4 games in, and that's the important thing that people need to remember. Check out the latest shows. Don't panic. We're only 4 games in.
Panic, yeah.
You know, we talked about the transfer window. Check out the latest show. Transfer update. We've covered.
I'd rather they watch this one for now.
Just watch. Yeah, don't go off anyway. Yeah. So, look, we've everyone will know, and we'll go into the details anyway. Pompey, obviously, they sit 8th at the moment. They've won 2, lost 1, drawn 1. They lost at home to Norwich. They drew with, help me out, West Brom. Sorry, yeah, I have written it down. Bit of prep. And they've obviously beaten Preston and Oxford. Now, they've beaten Preston and Oxford, who are 2 teams who you would probably if you're a betting man, which I'm not, probably put money on those two being fighting towards the bottom end of the championship.
I think Oxford are currently they were bookies' favourites to be bottom, weren't they originally?
They were bookies' favourites to be bottom.
Yeah.
Yes, they've had an okay start. They got a draw against Coventry last weekend, actually.
Which is a hell of a result, actually.
It is a good result for them.
Lampard's had them flying.
Scored a cracking free kick. I just think that Pompey are going to be. It's going to be the tale of two teams again, because Pompey are a team who like to they sit with a low block. They're hard up front. They pump it long. They're one of those teams that we've always struggled to break down, and I just think that there's a lot of bits that we'll obviously get into in terms of what fans are calling for, etc. They've got a bit of a decent front line. Colby Bishop up front has scored goals in 3 levels of English football. They've got Josh Murphy, Jacob's rubbisher brother, but he's still a threat at this level. Was rumoured with West Brom and Birmingham, I think it was, on transfer deadline day. They've signed a guy from Australia. He's looked quite decent, Adrian Segacic.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously on deadline day, they brought back everyone's best friend, Connor Chaplin.
Yeah. Previously escaped,
been at Ipswich a long time. Every time he's played for us, played for Ipswich against us, he'd had a worldie.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't... I don't think we can read too much into it, though, because he was playing for Ipswich when he had a worldie. He's now playing in what is essentially a much worse side. So he's going to get less protection, he's going to get less assistance.
Yeah, so Pompey have done a fair bit of business this summer, and when you listen to their fans talk about it, what they would generally say, I think, from a generalisation, is that they've managed to ship out a load of players who they would consider were the sort of League One squad players, and they've managed to bring a few others. So I've mentioned a few they've brought in. They've brought in a defender. They've brought in Johnson from West Bromwich Albion. They've brought in Knight from, he was in another country, and they brought him back over. I think he was in France or Germany or something.
Yeah.
And he's come back over, and he's a proven championship defender. He's played for Peterborough. A very good player, in my opinion. They've got a settled squad. They've got a settled manager in John Mousinho, who's started his managerial career very well, won the league with Pompey in League One in the first year. Taken them to a mid-table-ish finish last year. Let's not forget, they were nearly relegated until they went to Carrow Road and battered Norwich like 5-2.
Yeah, so I mean, when we talk about the transfer business, they haven't really done as much. There's not been as much upheaval with them as we've had.
No, they're very settled, and I think I've just seen it there. Cameron's right. They're a settled squad with a manager who know what they want. They're on a small budget, as we know, and I think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be challenging at the top of the league this year. I also don't think they're going to be challenging at the bottom. I think they're going to be one of those teams that will have a good few weeks and a bad few weeks, and you pick them on a good day, you could batter them 4-5-6-0. Get them on a bad day, you might not be able to put one past them.
It's interesting, isn't it? And you've written in here, direct and ugly playing style, which sounds negative. Sounds like we're taking the piss a bit here, but actually, I think Saints fans, quite a few times over the course of the last season, specifically in the Premier League, would have probably appreciated a direct and ugly play style on a couple of occasions. So that's not to poo-poo it as a terrible strategy. Direct and ugly is sometimes exactly what fans want to see. So there's a bit of grit, a bit of determination, a bit of fight.
The reason why I've put that is because whilst we've gone to Watford and taken the lead, and obviously I know we lost at Stoke, but we also obviously clawed a goal back at Ipswich, they've managed to beat Oxford and Preston, and when they beat Oxford on the first day of the season, Oxford were battering them for the last 10 minutes, and they did what again, like you said, what we would wanted to see our team do the last few years, and they fucking fought for it, and you can see them doing that, and they did the same against Preston as well. So they've managed to work out how to win ugly, and we haven't yet.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that although we're talking about their form so far and the fact that they do hold league position over us at the moment, again, as we've mentioned on previous occasions, and I shall continue to reiterate, it's Derby Day. Form goes out the window. So we can't, to some degree, look too much at the sort of football that Pompey have played and the sort of football the Saints played and go, well, this is how we think the game's going to play out, because Derby Day happens. The crowd, the atmosphere, the world is different on Derby Day. The likelihood is Saints could have been playing pretty football up till now, and then it might get ugly because it's Derby Day. I've said it about 4 times now. It sounds awful. Alan's just said in chat they've only spent 2.1 million.
Yep.
Obviously, I mean, it's nowhere near what Saints have spent. I mean, Saints have sold more than they've spent, but it's nowhere near what Saints have spent. And if you look at the squad values, they do sit at opposite ends of the table pretty much. I think Pompey's like the third from bottom in terms of overall squad value, and Saints is like the top or second from top for overall squad value. So there is a gulf in terms of value, quality, wages. What concerns me is that golf is great when you're playing very highly skilled footballers who are playing a very pretty game of football. Local derbies aren't pretty games of football. We want people that are prepared to put their foot in, to put their body in the way, and to get on with it and get involved. And I think, if I'm honest with you all, I think one of the best ways that we can encourage them to do that is to kind of make some of those people that have turned up recently aware of what this game kind of means to fans. That's been interesting because it's been kind of covered quite a lot on social media lately as well.
Yes,
there's a lot of arguments as well on social media about what is and isn't things we should be doing, what is and isn't expected. And I'm going to run through some of them. You've put a little bit on here, but there's a few more things that I've seen as well that we'll talk about. So one of the first things that I've seen, and I've seen it quite a lot over the last couple of weeks, is fans in red and white calling for a similar approach to this game on Sunday as West Brom semi-final last championship season.
Yes,
which if you don't remember, seas of people outside. You had flares going off and flags and songs, and the players turned up, and that apparently, according to the players, really made a difference. In fact, Tom Fellows, who played for West Bromwich Albion in that game, said that was quite intimidating.
Yeah.
So there's people out there that are calling for the same again, and some are saying no, don't. Why would we bother with that nonsense? What do you think to that?
I think you need to try and do anything in these games to gain an advantage. I think when we watched the thing about West Brom, now I remember the day clearly. I'd finished work, I'd come home. And I was watching, dealing with the kids, doing all that rubbish, and you were one of them, kept on sending me messages, these videos that were happening outside St Mary's, and I was like, Jesus Christ, like, what's going on? And do you know what? It's nice for us to see that, because you see it, obviously we don't get as much coverage, but you see it at Anfield when they're playing a big game, or you see it at, not at Old Trafford, because they're still stuck on the train from London, but you see these bits of other teams doing it, and the only thing I would say to that is a lot of the players that we've got in the squad would have been on that coach when they came into West Brom already. Now, a lot of them would be. So Bazunu, Stevens, players like that would have been. I don't think for a minute, in fact, I can guarantee you that there's no way that those Pompey players have seen something like that going into a game in the last few years. And I think that someone made the point to me about this. Shouldn't we do this at every game?
I don't think every game.
And I think
every big game.
I get it to a degree. And yes, people will say it, and there'll be people in chat that will probably shout at me about this. People will say, it's more important, I'd rather lose this game and get promoted or whatever. This is, without doubt, for many people, because many people won't go to the away game, the biggest game of the season without a shadow of a doubt. So I think I'd agree with you. You need to make the players welcome, our players welcome. You need to make the other players feel like, oh my God, what's going on? And when they get in the stadium, you need to be in the bowl early, and you need to be making an absolute raucous for the players coming out, for the Pompey players, obviously not for them, but just do everything you can do. Yeah. It's cliche, but when that Pompey player goes into the corner to take a corner or take a throw in, he needs to think to himself, I just want to take it quickly and get out of there.
Yeah, obviously, I'm going to put my dad hat on now. Okay, for a brief second.
Yeah, go on, Dad.
I'm not going to put my football hooligan hat on. I'm going to put my responsible dad hat on.
Yeah.
As a father of two. When we say this, I'm sure the sort of people that watch our podcast don't need to be told this, but when we say this, within the remit of the law is important. So when a Pompey player goes to take a corner, I want him to feel uncomfortable. I don't want people throwing coins at him. You know what I mean? Right? I'm being serious here, right? Because ultimately it's a derby day, and I want to beat the skates and I want bragging rights, but I don't want to get hurt. It's not worth it. And if people, I personally am a believer that we should turn up early, that people should have the flares out and the songs and all the atmosphere should be there for when those players arrive. I'm a believer that I think that's something that's positive, as long as it stays right side of the law. Right, that's all I care about.
No, and similarly, this is the first league derby that we've had, and Rickster's in a live chat. He's not been in for live chat for a while. Hello, he just said it. It might not be the last. It might be the last one he played for 10 years. The last time he played this in the league was 2012.
Yeah,
and that was a bad year because I got married that year.
I think it is. I think you're right with what you say. I think it arguably is for a lot of people the biggest game of the season.
Yeah,
and I think that's quite important. So the other thing, I think turn up, make noise, be loud, be responsible, be loud. Make the Saints fans feel like this is like a cup final. Make the Pompey fans feel like they don't want to be there. I think that's all important. A couple other things I've seen mentioned on Twitter though. I don't know if you've seen this, so I'm going to throw it at you anyway.
Yeah, go on.
The big two that people have said we should get rid of this for the game because it's embarrassing, right? One of them you're going to be really butthurt about. One of them you're going to take really personally. Really personally. The first one.
If it's the band.
The first one they said, get rid of the pre-match band.
It's the only reason I go.
They've said get rid of the pre-match band because it's a bit embarrassing that kind of that grandma out.
Do you know what?
Or when the Saints happens before the game starts.
The band the band are good, but they were better a couple of years ago when they had a procession and they played down the side of the pitch. Now they just come on for sort of like a minute and it's kind of a bit pointless. I know the other one, the goal music.
The other one is the goal music. Yes, it is.
And I personally don't like the goal music. I will admit, I just don't like it. I'd rather Freed from Desire or something like that was played. Every stadium played music, fine, whatever. This is going to sound very cliche and very contradictory. Whilst we're saying change things the way we do for fans, etc., there come to a degree. Firstly, the football club won't change their approach to a degree. It'd be loved to have Mark Dennis on the sideline like he was against Wrexham, giving it large and.
Well, we don't know that won't happen.
I think they had to put a PG rating on it if they didn't do it this year. But keep the band, keep the goal music, keep things the same.
The thing, what I will say about the goal music in itself is, I think the person who presses that play button needs to learn to think for himself. So, for example, when we're 2-0 down, right, against Stoke, and we score with 10 minutes to go, don't press the button, you knob. Because we're still losing.
But I also think with the goal music, he needs to wait like 5 seconds before pressing it.
Do you know what? I wouldn't have pressed the goal music for the equaliser against Wrexham. I absolutely would have pressed it for the winner in the 95th minute. And I think it's just use a bit of common sense and apply some common sense when pressing that little button that sets that musical.
It needs to be, regardless of whether it's cringy or not, it needs to be everything that's ready for Southampton. So Dotsy just made the point and I agree with what she says. I preferred the band when they marched down the touchline because they got the atmosphere going. Now the players come out, they shake their hands, and whilst they're all stood there, they play for 30 seconds and then they disappear.
It's the whole, they do the video before the players come out and it's all supposed to feed into each other, but the band finishes just as kickoff happens.
The video used to finish, and when the video finished, the band used to start playing straight away, and they start at one end where we used to sit in the corner of the chapel where the away fans are now, and they would march down to the northern. Doing or when the Saints, they'd speed up as they go, and it would get the atmosphere going better.
Yeah.
I think it was not that I'm saying on that day, if we need a band to get the atmosphere going, we need to have a hard look at ourselves.
Do you think that the club will employ things like pyrotechnics? I think they will.
Even though it's a night game. If it's gone are the days when you go to football just to go to football, if you know what I mean.
It's a show now. There's a fine line here, right?
We see light shows and fire and God knows what.
The light shows can get in the sea. There's a fine line now, right? And I don't want to upset any of our audience who watch from abroad here, but there is a fine line between it being still a sporting venue and a sporting fixture that I'm there to watch sport, and it becoming the, for want of a better phrase, the over-Americanized show, right? And I mean that in the nicest possible way, but when you watch certain sports over in the US, it's as much about the show, and the showcase is about the game itself. Look at the Super Bowl, in all seriousness. There were moments last season where Saints were rock solid bottom, getting battered by everybody that turned up, and it was a midweek, late night, 8 p.m. kickoff. We're going to do a light show. No, pack it in.
Read the room, guys.
Read the room, and that's my point, right? So, fireworks and pyrotechnics on Derby Day, I'm okay with it. I am. Read the room. Everyone's going to be fired up. Get them really fired. I don't think you need to get them really fired up, but you know what? A little bit extra doesn't hurt. Really get them going. Raucous noise, I think, is what is needed. Deafening, in fact. And I'm looking at you, Chapel and Kingsland and Itchen stands. By the way, I'm looking at you lot as well. Make it as I don't necessarily think at the moment moving the away fans to where they've moved them to and doing what they've done with the Northern has been the most successful move the club's made. I get what they're trying to do. If you look at every big Premier League stadium, the away fans sit opposite the Diard end,
the cop,
the shed end. Yeah, absolutely
sort of
right.
Stuff,
yeah. So I get what the club's doing. I think it's probably long term going to be the right move. I do. I genuinely believe that. However, we haven't had that unison cop end style voice yet. This is the weekend where we should probably be looking to.
I think I've seen it properly once, and that was against Wrexham. But at the same time, it depends, obviously. I've seen a lot of things over social media, and I'd love to know what chat think about this. A lot of people saying, for the players that aren't aware, so if we look at the players, that they'll know about the Southampton Pompey derby, people will talk about it. But suggestions that people like Franny Bernardi should be brought into the dressing room and stuff. Not maybe the same on the day, but into training this next week so he can
Let's
speak
not
to
think
fans
they won't do that, Ash. Come on. They're going to do that. The club will do that, even if we don't know about it. They'll do that.
And let's be honest, well, they won't be able to bring it, but Pompey have a flipping drum anyway, won't they? So they need that to create an atmosphere.
Isn't that tattooed wanker band anyway?
Pretty sure he is. But yeah.
Good. I think those sorts of things we'll see it happen anyway. Now, obviously, it's Will Steele's first derby. It's his 5th competitive game in the league in charge. I say in the league, obviously, because we've had 2 cup games as well. So it's his 7th competitive game in general in charge. What I quite like actually is we've done a very brief and vague analysis on Pompey's game plan and how they play so far. So do you think, considering the transfer window, considering Will Steele and the systems that he's liked to employ in previous employments at different clubs, we're surely not going to see the same 5-4-1 nonsense we've seen so far? He now has the players he wanted, right? He's got the players he wanted now. Surely Pompey could have looked at the last 4 games and gone, well, they're going to set up with 5 at the back, and he's going to come out like, Matt, 4, and we've got 5 in midfield. Surely we're going to see this
I think
weekend.
he'll still play 5 at the back.
You reckon he's going to stick to the same system?
I think
that's suicide. I think if he comes, right, I'm not calling for him to be sacked or fired. Let's get this very clear now. But I think he's going to do his reputation with Saints fans some serious damage if he comes out at home at St Mary's against the Skates with 5 at the back. He's going to not do himself any favours with the fan base.
I don't think he'll do himself any favours. I think potentially we might be in a personal area where he thinks that he doesn't want to change too much at the moment too soon. That's potentially where I find myself right now. I just think that the game is going to... You said earlier, form goes out the window. I think if we were sort of sitting January, February, potentially we could say, well, actually form is included because we've been playing so long into the season, but it's only 4 games in. Both teams haven't really settled. We don't know if Connor Chaplin's going to start. We don't know if Tom Fellows, etc., is going to start. If he goes for... I think the game will still be played in the same similar way. I think Pompey will probably start a bit faster and a bit more... They'll probably look a bit more up for it to start off with because the players will be trying to settle. But I think that for the rest of the game, we'll have the majority of the possession and we'll have the majority of pressing. I think very much like the Stoke game, like the Watford game to a degree, like the Wrexham game, we will be pressing and pressing and pressing. It'll be up to those players, Fellows, Cienza, Azaz, to do what they need to do, which we haven't had.
But you can't. But this is my point. You can't put Fellows, Cienza, and Azaz in the lineup as well as having Charles and say Downs, and then play 5 at the back. It's impossible. It
will all depend on what's been happening in training. The thing is if you're John Messina and you're doing your tactics, you're going to think to yourself, right, obviously, it's quite simple. They're either going to play 5 at the back, and we know how they're going to play, or they're going to play 4 at the back, and we know how they play. So we'll just prepare for both. We'll set the team up the same way. Like I said, they're an ugly defensive team. They've got a big defence. They've got a really good spine. For a championship team, they've got a really good spine. I just want us to go for it.
For it. That's my point.
I think said it. Just go for it.
I think all Saints fans would agree with you. And that's my point. I think coming out with 5 at the back with the squad that he's got access to now is arguably borderline suicide. Right? I genuinely think that. There's a couple of other things I want to note as well. So you've also said about having Fellows, Azaz, and Cienza do their thing. I wouldn't start the 3 of them, and I'll explain why. Because I'd probably start Azaz. I'd probably start Fellows, but I also want to be starting Wee Man in this game because I think his engine. And the fact that he's like a little terrier is going to be the sort of player you need in a derby game.
Okay.
A scrappy little player. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I think you're going to want that kind of person battling, and I think you're going to want him on the pitch, to be honest with you. I think we probably look at just Cam up front because I think if you have those kind of creative players behind him, that's the sort of striker that you want. And I think you need to be looking at... I'm an advocate at the moment for suggesting that I think that my two central defensive midfielders would probably... my choice would probably be Casper Yander and Shea Charles.
He won't start Casper Yander.
He won't start Casper Yander. I think for this game, he should start Downs, but I want to see Flynn have a scrappy, kicky game and control that space in front of the back 4.
Has anyone got odds on a Flynn Down red card on Sunday?
And if he's got those 3 players sat in front of him, it allows Downs and Charles to sit in front of that back 4 and protect them a bit more. I think you'll see Stevens play. I think you'll see Howard Bellis play because they're fighters, and I would actually like to see Nathan Wood play. And what the wing backs look like, I don't know. But at the moment, genuinely, I want to see Ryan Manning play as well.
You will. I know we were going to do teams later, but I would.
I'm into it now. Let's
go to it. I think it depends on if we're talking back 4. He's going to go Manning, Taylor Howard-Bellis, Jack Stevens, and Mads.
You reckon?
I wouldn't be disappointed with that.
Mads Royce-Lev.
I think that Nathan Wood deserves to keep the opportunity, but I think he will just go with those 2. Jack Stevens is a captain. He's going to play. Ryan Manning knows of the derby. He's played in South Wales derbies. He knows about these sort of things. Mads has been around long enough to be able to play in this level. Flynn Downs and Shea Charles has been around long enough to be able to play at this level. Ryan Fraser's he's Scottish, so he knows about the old firm.
Cam's put in chat the exact lineup I probably would start with if I had the choice. I do think he'll pick Harbour Bellis over Wood, but that's where I would probably go. That being said, that's only because I don't know enough about the other wing back that we've signed. I would go Bazunu at the back. I'd go Mads Royslev, Stevens. I would go Wood over Harbour Bellis based on the way that he's performed so far this season.
Personally, I would do. I just think he will go Harbour
And I
Bellis.
agree with you. I'd go Manning. I would do Downs and Charles in the middle, despite the fact that I'm very excited about Yanda. If you haven't seen the clip that he put on him, that goal he scored in training.
Well, they've put like loads. They've also had the Tom Fellows one where he did the step over and slapped in the top corner.
And then we've got Fraser, Azaz and Fallows with an Archer up front. That's what I would do, 100%.
I think there's so many permutations that we could do, because what Southampton want realistically is the game to settle, so Pompey start coming into it and start leaving gaps at the back. But at the same time, we don't realistically in this game, especially, want it to get to 75 minutes when we're 1-0 down and we're begging for anything for a goal, because our luck's going to run out.
But then you get to a point where you do have players like Yanda and you've got Jay Robinson and you've got Cienza on the bench, if we look at that lineup as a thing, for people you can throw on. And I think, and you've still got your Damien Downs and the ever-prolific Adam Armstrong, if you really want to use them, and the Loch Ness Drogba as well.
Well, this is the interesting point. We'll get on to the players that are doing international duties. Richter just said that Germany can't even help.
Well, let's talk about it. So the downside that we have, where probably Pompey don't have so much of an issue, is that we've got players on international duty. So Ryan Manning and Finn Azaz played in the Ireland game. Bazunu didn't. He was a new sub.
Yes. Finn Azaz.
You watched the game?
Yeah, Finn Azaz was coming off. Was taken off. The game's a blur now. I've watched so much football this weekend, despite the fact there is actually no football on. Ireland managed to nick a 2-2 draw in the last minute, and Hungary were down to 10 men. Azaz was taken off. Manning was actually played like Ryan Manning does, but Azaz was playing more of a striker.
Okay.
To be fair. But
like
at the same time,
like a false nine type position?
Yeah, but at the same time, international football is, as we know, let's not talk about it too much, but as we know from that shower of shit that we watch with England, it's just different, isn't it? And some of these games, like the England game, for example, was just played at a friendlies pace, and the Irish game was a bit fierce, but at the same time had moments where it's played at a friendly pace. So we've also got other players out, as you'll go on to now.
Yeah, Jay Robinson played in the England under-19s versus Spain for 3-3 draw.
Assisted, and I think their next game is tomorrow.
Okay. Damien Downs, unused sub for USA. As they lost to South Korea.
They lost at home to the South Koreans, yeah.
That upset him, wasn't it?
Mauricio Pochettino, obviously former Spurs boss, would have been really happy that Heung-min Son was the one that scored for South Korea.
First international goal for Shea Charles.
Yeah, so obviously, as Richter has just said, Shea Charles is having a cracking game apparently for Northern Ireland against Germany. And he got his first international goal away at Luxembourg in midweek. They beat Luxembourg 3-1, and it looked like it was a cracking goal, but it took a very big deflection.
And then Joshua Kashi, the under-21 French team.
German team.
They're all the same. They're over the water. They're all the same. I don't know what I think it's because anyway. Under-21 German team. I did it again then. Played 45 minutes plus a yellow card.
Yeah, played 45 minutes, got a yellow card, got taken off. And obviously they've got another game. So the other games will be concluded. I think Ireland played Tuesday. Obviously I know it's not affected to us, but England played Tuesday, and then the players will report back most likely on Wednesday.
So the players getting the most game time, we're looking at Azaz Manning and Shea Charles, really, are the players getting the most game time over the course of this international break.
And I think someone like Shea Charles is someone who just needs consistency. He needs to play.
So this is good?
I think so.
Okay.
He needs to be playing.
We're not concerned about fatigue?
Not with Shea Charles.
Okay.
Ryan Manning, I think he'll be okay because he's been around and done it. Finn Azaz, I think Finn Azaz looked very good against Watford, but we also have to remember that up until the game that he played, he'd been sort of 2 or 3 days in the car to and from Middlesbrough and stuff. It's not easy. He would have had a bit of cramped up.
No,
it would have been a bit struggle.
It's different to going away internationally, isn't it?
I know people are going to turn around and say, oh, well, he gets paid thousands. He does, but it doesn't make his human body any different.
No.
So it's never easy to get up and go and play 90 minutes of full, fast football when you've been sat.
So it's quite interesting. Maybe the international break's not going to hurt us so bad.
Well, they'll report back on Wednesday, so we'll have Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, because we can talk about our form so far this season. We are only 4 games in, as Ash has said. I haven't liked the way that we've set up. I think a lot of fans haven't liked the way that we set up. I think Will Steele doesn't really like the way that we set up, but he's said categorically on a few occasions he doesn't have the players he needs to play the system he wants to play. Obviously, transfer window is now closed. I'd be concerned if he kept throwing that rhetoric out there, right? Because obviously he's been allowed to go and buy with a bit of a masterclass from Johannes Spores. He's been allowed to go and basically buy all the players that he wanted and needed to some degree, right?
Yep.
There was a couple of links that happened that didn't go anywhere, but for the most part, I think we've done some really good business in the transfer window. I say this having not seen them play as a cohesive unit, but it looks like on the surface done some really good business. We have been playing 5 at the back all season, if you are unaware.
Just very quickly, is there anyone in chat, 78 people watching, is there anyone that likes us playing 5 at the back that's happy with us?
Yeah, I think I know the answer to this one already.
I don't think anyone's going to come up and say me.
My biggest concerns as well is that there's teams where we should be throwing the kitchen sink at them and putting them under pressure by just attacking their goal mouth, and we're playing 5 at the back, which is quite a defensive setup. And I know you say we play wing backs. I don't love it.
I don't see it either, though.
And my biggest concern so far has been we just don't seem to have looked like we've got any kind of quality, moreover, any kind of width going forward. Now, obviously, players like Cienza and Fellows, the whole intent of them bringing them in is that's going to change that, right? And I think it speaks volumes to the types of players that we've purchased. We haven't had a creative 10. Finazaz fills that role. We haven't had decent wingers. We've now got Fellows and Cienza alongside Robinson and Fraser who can fill in as well. But we've been kind of playing people like Armstrong out of position because he's been playing up front as a 9, despite the fact he's probably more of a wide player. And we played Archer at one point on the wing, and it's just kind of been a bit disjointed and all over the place. Because we just haven't. I don't think we've looked at like having got a really strong bench. Apart from the fact that all we can do in a 5-4-1 situation is take off players and just put on more strikers, and then we kind of lose shape, and we don't really kind of have any sort of cohesive approach to attacking at that point. It's just throw the ball forward and see what happens.
No, I don't. I was having this argument with the guys in Discord and with our members in Discord as well. I don't think that a lot of these players don't grow up playing 5 at the back. I don't know if anyone can tell me any of the big teams in the Premier League, for example, that play 5 at the back, and we're playing with a 5. And the first thing I want to say on it is, and you made the point as well, is I haven't seen that width. I haven't seen the wing backs bombing forward. We haven't seen Ryan Manning or Wellington or who was playing right back before. I can't even think. I've completely that Sugawara or wherever get right down to the byline and be in that area, which is where they should be. And I think that's really disappointing because that's a problem, because when they don't go forward, they're not doing it enough so the players can't learn to play it. So then what you're seeing is that when they eventually do maybe move 10 yards forward, is the opposition will find it very easy. We'll just put the ball in the channels. And then suddenly Taylor Harwood is picking up the ball, and Taylor Harwood-Bellis is picking up the ball, and he's playing left back. And you're like,
well, this has been the issue, is when we have seen the wing-backs push forward, I don't know what it is about the system we've been playing, but we've just left huge gaps, and somehow the remaining back 4 have looked exposed, which is concerning. And this is why I looked at this. The first part Ash put in the show notes tonight was actually the early season review, and I looked at it, and 5 at the back was part of what you put. Concerns moving forward, I agree with you. The strikers just haven't striked, really. You know, we've started to see Archer, I think, maybe start to find a little bit of form. We'd have loved to have seen it last season, but he didn't get a consistent run in the team.
Well, he found a little bit of form and he got dropped, didn't he?
Yeah, genius. Anyway, he seems to be starting to find the net again. We've seen him score a great goal. We've seen him score a poacher's goal. I think Downs could come good. A lot of people were hating on him on social media. I think he could come good, actually.
You just need to give him... We've said it all along. I think all will be... Let's be honest, we can sit here next week and Southampton could have won 2-0 and we played 5 at the back and we'll go, well, we played 5 at the back, but we've won 2-0, no one cares. We could also sit here next week, having played 5 at the back and played awful and lost or drawn. We want to see 4 at the back. We want to see the team create chances for these. And you're going to... Don't throw anything at me, but we're second in the league for XG. We're second in the league for chances created. We're second in the league for shots. So we're having the shots and the chances. We now just need people to put them away. But the difference being is some of these shots and chances have been someone lobbing the ball. Like
every time you mention XG, I'm going to offer you. I'm going to owe you a Rochambeau.
Well, it's also the same. And one of our watchers, Steve, said this. It's also the same stupid stat when someone puts up and it says, "Oh, saw it the other day. That kid Max Down when he plays for Arsenal had a great game for England today. He got fouled 10 times." What does that mean?
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? So we'll see. I was reluctant to talk about the LA team. We should talk about it because it is maybe relevant, but I actually don't know if it's going to be relevant because 2 reasons. It's South Coast derby, so is it relevant? And secondly, I genuinely, my gut is telling me that we won't see the same lineup. We won't see 5 at the back. That being said, there's been winners and losers so far this season. I think Bazunu has looked okay. He got some hate on the last game.
Yeah.
But he also put the ball around the post, saving that result at Wrexham. He's made some good stops as well. I don't think he's looked terrible. McCarthy, however, also looked great in the cup game, to be fair.
Yeah, but he managed to make one really good save, which was from his own mistake. So we'll
quite okay. In defence, I actually think Stevens has looked pretty decent this season so far. He looks a bit settled again. He looks like a captain again. I think Harwood Bellis has looked a bit rusty and a bit all over the place.
I still question his fitness.
I question how he ever got an England call up. Nathan Wood, I think, has been very impressive. I think he's a winner. Joshua Kawashi, I think, shows a lot of promise, but I think he just needs a little bit of maturity in the English game.
He is the sort of player that you do not put into that game on Sunday.
No, I agree.
Not a chance.
Absolutely.
You do not put him anywhere near it.
Manning, Manning's one of those players as well where I frequently last season kept thinking to myself, how's he getting dropped?
I think Manning's probably been the biggest winner from the squad so far this week.
Manning's just, and again, start this season, I don't have nothing against Wellington, but I was like, how are we bringing Manning on against Wrexham, who's basically then winning the game for us, and then dropping him again to Wellington? How does that make? How does that make any sense, right? Right back situation is a hard one to judge because Sugawara's gone. Fraser played right back for a bit. He's not going to keep playing right back. We now have 2 new right backs. We can't say win or lose there.
But Mads has looked very solid when he's played.
Yeah, and then we've got Mads has looked solid when he's played. We've got Downs and Shea Charles. Shea Charles has had a great game and a terrible game, and in between as well.
He's been all right. Yeah, I think he's been fairly solid. I think he was outed against Watford because I've seen it and I'm ignoring it. He was outed against Watford, and I think he missed Flynn Downs or someone like that playing next to him. I am not the older brother.
Tabletop Jones is great. Liam, listen to your older brother. XG is a relevant stat. I love you for that.
Younger brother. That's why I've got this.
Downs, I think, has looked ropey. I'll be honest. A lot of people said that we really missed him in the last game because he can't cook chicken. But I think he's looked ropey in places as well. He's been quite poor in possession.
Again, I don't think he's fully fit. He missed half of pre-season.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting for players like him, just quickly, was him, and who's the other one that missed pre-season that I said was missing it? Taylor Harwood-Bellis. They haven't been away on international duty. And
then we go into the front line, and then I don't think we can make any comment. I think Archer's looking like he's perhaps on an upward trajectory. Armour's looking tired and lost. Downs, I watched him for the first couple of games where we put him on the pitch, and I watched him make a bunch of runs and get zero service at all. So I don't think it's harsh to judge those right now, I think, because we won't know how good they are until they're actually getting fed regular service. You've said, right, highest or second highest assists in the league? Or chances created?
Chances created.
Chances created is the one that's important, right? Chances created is fine. And if your strikers then aren't putting the ball in the back of the net, well, then you can blame the strikers. But if you're not having the chances created for you in the first instance, I don't think you can blame the strikers at that point. Teams stumble across an absolute gem of a striker who can create their own chance out of nothing.
The issue that we're going to have, and I know you're getting into it now, the one thing that worries me, assume we don't play forward at the back next week. Let's say we do that team roughly that Cameron's mentioned.
Yeah, go on, Cam. You pick the team.
You're going to have
go on, Cam.
You're going to have potentially Ryan Fraser, Finn Azaz, Tom Fellows, Cameron Archer, for example. And the only thing that worries me, and yes, I'm clutching at straws here, guys, I would assume they would have played a pre-season or a behind the closed doors friendly this week against anyone, but they haven't played together. So there might just be that little bit of inconsistency with some of the play. You'd like to think professional footballers, they'll be working on it every single day on the training ground.
I'm not massively concerned. I'm not massively concerned, actually. You've not got a player trying to slot into an already set process. You've potentially got a completely rebuilt front line.
Theoretically, we just need to try and work out how to get Fellows isolated against their wing back. Because if we can get them isolated one-on-one against them, then that's what we're going to need to be doing every game. We need to get them isolated one-on-one.
I also, for reference, wouldn't be against Cienza starting over Fraser and then bringing Fraser on to go kicking people afterwards and just going, you know what, lads, go for it.
Well,
attack them.
That's clearly going to be. I think that potentially might be the game plan. Is that Cienza will start games, and like I said, you go away, you go to places like Stoke or wherever, and we've been given a run around for a 65, 70 minutes, maybe not even broken the deadlock, and that right back or left back's thinking, oh, thank God we don't have to mark him anymore. And suddenly wee man turned up in his Scottish accent and starts biting their ankle and just not giving them not a minute.
Do you know
of
what
peace.
Pompey's fitness levels are like? Is that something you've looked at all?
It is that they're.
Because do we pull them one side, pull them, do we run them ragged and then put on more people that can continue to run them ragged afterwards?
I think that their fitness levels are very similar to what you would expect for a team that finished in the bottom half of League One Championship last year. They're not the fittest team. I think that you'll probably find that we will probably be one of, if not the fittest team in the Championship this season. My issue with it is, again, we know it's football. It can go a million different ways. Obviously, an early goal will always settle it. So an early goal could go either way.
I don't know if I believe that anymore as a Saints fan.
Well, yeah, that's true. The issue that I have with us is that we're very, very good, especially at home, obviously, at just giving away that first goal when it's normally something stupid. In a game like that, it just doesn't make any sense for us to... We need to be calm and composed. The problem is sometimes when we're calm and composed, that's when we make the mistake. So I don't want us to see...
Well, there's a difference between composure and complacency. That's the difference.
That's the point, isn't it? So if I was a Pompey fan, I'm not. If I was, I'd be thinking we need to get into them early and get an early goal. And once we've got an early goal, we've got something to hold on to and frustrate them. From our point of view, yes, an early goal would be great. But I'm going to say it again, don't panic. They're happy with the point. We're not.
Yeah, okay.
This game is going to...
Do you genuinely believe that? On Derby Day, do you genuinely believe they're happy with the point? Because
Yes.
I don't think they'd be happy with the point. I think fans, at least, they only want to win.
I think if you've got... And I work in Portsmouth, so I speak to a lot of them. If you talk about the game as a whole, with the golfing squads and experience and all that sort of stuff, a lot of them that I've spoken to and said, do you know what? As a football fan, obviously as a Derby Day, they want to win, but as a football fan for their season, they're happy to come and take a point.
That's interesting. I don't think I would have ever heard a Pompey fan say that. I think quite interesting.
But then at the same side, they want to win. They also really don't want to lose.
Yeah,
But
that's
a point,
important.
for them is nearly a win.
I guess to some extent, if they take a draw at St Mary's and win at Fratton Park, they'll call that an overall success for the season.
But if we go down to Fratton Park and, okay, yeah, we want to win, but the very worst case scenario, we just don't want to lose. So if you can't win, don't lose. That's the old adage in football, isn't it?
Yeah, but I want to win.
No, but you want to win, but sometimes you try everything.
I
don't lose.
Maybe I'm on my own here. Maybe this is my more passionate side of my brain coming through more than my analytical side of the brain coming through. But I can't see how we can't if you think about the team, if you think about the fact that last season it was a Premier League team, granted it wasn't a very good one, but it was a Premier League team. If you think about what we've done in that, I think the transfer window has been a masterclass in shifting deadwood and shite and bringing in players that have absolutely been players that, I mean, I would have been, I think I genuinely, honestly would have been more comfortable with the current squad in the Premier League last season than I am with the squad we had, honestly.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think, if I think that I actually now genuinely believe that we've made a huge upgrade to the squad over the course of the last transfer window, whilst making some money at the same time. My brain then says to me, how are we not turning over a team that was only able to spend 2.1 million in the transfer window? We should, if we're going to be serious contenders for this league this season, I think we can be serious contenders for this league this season, we should be putting teams like Pompey, both home and away, to bed.
Let's rephrase that. We should be able to be a contender in this league, and we should be. Not we should be able to, we should be.
Yes, we should be.
A contender for the top of the league this year. And you're right, we should be able to put them to bed. Having said that, as we know, it's football. It's a funny old game.
But you wouldn't say, when we go away to Oxford United, I'll take a point though, because it's not losing. You'd be like, we need to be beating Oxford United.
The problem is with that, right? Yeah, we should be beating Oxford United, but if we went to Oxford and Oxford had won their last 3 games and we'd lost the last 3 games, you'd be like, oh, I'm a bit worried now. I might take a point to stop the rot. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be in that position, but you might think you take a point to stop the rot.
I think if I look at the top runners of the league, there are occasions when going away from home that I would perhaps be happy with a point. But for the most part, every other game we go into this season, we should be looking to win. we should be looking to win.
You're right.
And I think that Pompey, both home and away, is not just a team that we should be looking to beat. I think we should be looking to bury them. And this is where I keep talking about Derby Day, right? This takes the Derby Day part away from it. This takes simply our squad versus their squad, our club versus their club, right? I'm sorry, Pompey fans, I don't care what you say, there is an utter gulf in quality right now between the two clubs and the two teams. One is in a fancy 32-seater stadium. The other is in someone's back garden shed, right? One of them has just sold £80 million for players in 2 players and reinvested half that money. The other one spent £2 million and was probably nearly bankrupt.
But which one of those sit higher in the Football League at the moment?
Of course, but we're 4 games in.
And this is the point. So I'm going to ignore the clips and people saying that I need to be dancing and doing God knows what else. There's been no gifted memberships or super chats tonight, guys. Not happening. But at the same time, I think from a Southampton perspective, again, another cliche, the season realistically starts properly this Sunday, because that's when Will Steele can say, I've got the squad I want, I've got the players I want, let's go for it. I'm disappointed to a degree that we haven't got. I would have liked potentially seen a couple of strikers shifted out and maybe another one brought in that probably was a bit more proven. I know everyone's saying that, but we have to be realistic where we are. He needs to be at the point of going, right, guys, if he goes on Sunday and he plays a back 5, then we can sit there and go, like, what are you doing? But if he goes, right, play a back 4, this is what we're going to play now. Forget the last 4 games. We don't have the players. We've been together now. This is what we're going to play. Let's go for it.
I honestly think we have proven strikers. I think Cam Archer and Ross Stewart are proven at this level. Adam Armstrong is proven at this level. We've got proven forwards. The only one arguably not proven at this level was Damien Downs. I think he's got some potential and I think he's got some promise. But I am looking currently, and maybe I'm stupid for this, and there's people that aren't Saints fans in the chat that can rip me if they want to. Garsty likes to rip me for stuff like this. I'm aware of it. But I look at that league at the moment, and whereas last season I looked at games and went, we're not going to get anything out of that. I'm looking at every fixture we're coming up against at the moment going, we should be looking at picking points up. And I say that plural, points.
We sat here last year playing Matty Fernandez, Camel Dean, someone else wide because Diblin was always injured. I can't even think. Ariba or whoever bloody hell was playing. Grombeck, don't. And then we had Onuachu up front, maybe with the odd Adam Armstrong and stuff in between. Nope. And we sat there doing that, but I'm more excited now going into the game. And do you know what? I'm going to make it very clear, and I'd love to know what chat thinks. I'm really nervous. I can already feel the nerves going into Sunday.
I'm excited.
I'm nervous but excited. I'm going to wake up on Sunday and be like, I'm going to be like a giddy school kid. But when we get into the stadium, I'm going to be a bag of nerves.
I want to get over as early as we can and soak it all up.
Well, I want to do all of that. Fine. But at the same time, yeah, I'd assume that's what you meant for a few beers in. At the same time, I think we're sat in a position where we should win. We've got the team. And I agree with what Cameron says, for example. I'm almost really excited to see the front 3 behind Cameron Archer, because we know Cameron Archer can do it. He's got the movement, and then he comes off, or if we're chasing games, for example, you can take a defender off or take a midfielder off and have that front 3 behind. Look, there's just so many permutations.
I get it, right? I get it. I get that you. Dad's the same. I get that you default to self-preservation. Well, yes. It's a derby day, and I'm nervous, and this could happen, and that could happen. I think, honestly, as a club, It'll be interesting to see how the show goes on Sunday, because at the moment I'm going to make a statement. Quote me on it next Sunday. I think this is a must-win game, and I know it's the 5th game of the season. I know it's early. I know we're saying don't panic, and I have been part of that message over the course of the last few shows. I personally believe, with what we did the transfer window, with the fact that it's Pompey, with the fact that it's Derby Day, and we are now 5 games in with 1 win, I think this is a must-win game, and I don't think anything else is genuinely acceptable on Sunday. I don't think if we come away on a 2-2 or 3-3 draw, actually Saints fans are going to be happy. I think they're going to be annoyed.
100%. I completely agree with you. It is a must-win game. I think that the only thing that I'm going to say, if we don't win on Sunday, it's not the end of the world. It will feel like it, but it's not. But again, it depends on the situation. Could it be that we have an absolutely awful first half and find ourselves 2-0 down, and we walk away from St Mary's on Sunday, having equalised in the last minute? We're not going to be happy, but we're going to be a bit more sort of, well, that's a bit of relief. At least we got a point from it, as opposed to nothing.
I don't know. I think you'll be able to G me up for the show because I'll be sat here miserable. Legitimately, honestly.
In the event that we lose, are we going to do a show?
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
we have to.
We just throw things, Marcus, like take his head off.
We've made a run for our own back here, mate. We've got to do a show. We've got to. Ultimately.
I blame you. This was your idea. But no, I think you're right. It is a must-win game. The problem is, again, I am just the most nervous part is I'm waiting until 11:15 on Sunday morning when the team sheet is released, and I want to see 4 flipping defenders, not 5.
That is legitimately going to be a precursor to me having an enjoyable time or me being in a bit of a shitty mood for the game. If that team sheet comes out and it says 5 at the back, I'm going to be irritated. I'm going to be irritated going into the stadium. And this is why I think his formation is so important for Sunday for so many different reasons, because I think you'll feel it happens so much in the Premier League season. You felt the atmosphere change when the team sheet was dropped and you go, what is he doing? What is he doing? And I think that's going to be the case on Sunday. But I think that if that team sheet comes out, and I legitimately think this, if that team sheet comes out, it shows a 4-2-3-1, and all of our 3 new attacking forwards are on a pitch, I think you're going to feel that atmosphere come up.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah,
I do. I genuinely
Even if it's Fraser instead of Sienna or whatever, you're going to be like, decent.
It's going to look attacking and it's going to look exciting. And I think if you do that, it looks exciting, it makes people excited, and then that atmosphere comes up and it feeds each other, right? So that's my hope.
The interesting will be, and Matt's just made the point, you should watch Will Steele's conference on Thursday. I watch them all, Matt, so don't panic.
Yeah.
If he decides to start 5 at the back, then obviously we won't have anything until the end of the game. But if he decides to start 5 at the back, I'll be very interested when Alfie and Adam, etc., ask him the question, why? Because the problem being there, if he starts 5, again, I've said it, if he starts 5 at the back and we win, people will be annoyed, but they won't care because we've won. But then if we go into the next game, which I think is Middlesbrough, Sheffield United, whoever it is, and we've played 5 at the back.
All Northern.
And then all Northern come from the same place, don't they?
Yeah.
They were like chips, gravy on their chips.
I like gravy on my chips.
I can't stand it. That's another caveat. Canadians, poutine, you're weird.
It's lovely, that stuff.
So if we go there and play 5 at the back and then pick up a point, and the performances are, and let's be honest, we talked about the season review so far. We've not had moments in games where we've had a good 5, 10, 15-minute spell of absolute pure domination, chance after chance. We've had a few chances. Obviously, like I said, we've had the second most chances created and the second most shots. But there's always been moments in games so far we've thought, what's going on here? What's going on? What's he doing? 5 at the back. We're not running. We're not moving. We're not driving. But he's had effectively a very mini pre-season following with the international break. The players need to come in and be told. And this week needs to be, from his managerial career to a degree, it's probably the biggest game of his managerial career.
You reckon?
Well, he's managed in France and in Belgium and stuff, and yes, they've won titles and stuff. But in terms of the levels, isn't it? In terms of levels, this game is absolutely massive.
He's probably had a slightly more important game on Football Manager.
Nah. As I said when I put this out on social media tonight, it's this is the only South Coast derby worth mentioning. Correct. Worth talking about.
So look,
you know,
what I'm going to ask you for in a couple of minutes, so get thinking, don't put it in the chat now, but what I'm going to ask you for in a couple of minutes, chat, is your prediction. And I want to give, when you give us the prediction, when you give us who scores first. Now, I know what people like Matty are like. No, we don't need premature right now, all right? Poor Mrs. Matt, honestly. Hold on to it. I'm going to ask you for it in a minute. The reason I'm going to ask you for it in a minute is because Ash and I will also give our own predictions. In the meantime, we've got a little bit of other news from the wider Football League. Not a lot. I was shocked at this first point. I nearly messaged you about it, and then I saw you put it in the show notes anyway. Daniel Levy resigned from Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, I saw that.
So they win the European Cup. It's very strange, right? They win the European Cup. They sack Ange Postecoglou. They bring in a new manager. They then do the transfer window. The transfer window closes, and then he resigns? What on earth has gone on there?
So this is one that really shocks me. So Spurs fans have been calling for a long time because there's been so many people that don't like the way he's done his business, etc. I think it's one of those situations, and we said it before when people were talking about Sports Republic. Be careful what you wish for. And they said that nothing's going to change at Spurs, but he's got them a brand new stadium. He took them to Well, he didn't take them, obviously. They Champions League final and big names, Mourinho and Conte and all that sort of stuff. And it's just Cameron just said it. It's just Spursy, isn't it? They've just had the most successful season they've had in a very long time. Sacked Preston Postecoglou, questionable. Brought in Thomas Frank, had a great start, lost at home to Bournemouth. But if you watch the game, Bournemouth were very good. But Spurs...
It's really bizarre, though, isn't it?
It's very bizarre. And I just don't get... I wouldn't necessarily thought about it. It's just the timing of it.
It's interesting. Spurs fans, for a lot of last season, were calling for Levy's head. It's not the first time. I'll be interested to see what happens with them, and I'll be interested to see what happens with them in the next. What's hard when you see something like Daniel Levy leaving is we're not going to really see the impact this is going to have until maybe 2, 3, 4 years time, maybe even longer, because he was running the business at a higher level. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Well, it might be different because Thomas Frank was the man that he picked. Someone else might go in and take over and be like, no, I'm not interested. I want to do it elsewhere.
Matt's come early again. There we go.
Well, Gartsy's come earlier, to be fair.
Has he?
Yeah,
Brilliant.
he's come much earlier.
Right, well, anyway, we'll do that in a minute. Do you want to tell me the Peter Crouch story?
Oh, this was mad. So I obviously do follow a lot of our local teams. Tottenham, who have started very well in the Conference South this year, and Sholing, who are in the league below. So Sholing went away and played at Farnham yesterday, got a 2-2 draw. They've had a fairly decent start to the season. And I saw it on social media when it popped up. So Peter Crouch lost a bet with his friends. He was finished bottom of his fantasy Premier League team. So his bet was to be a mascot for Farnham Town for their 2-2 draw at home to Sholing yesterday. And not only was a mascot, he went out, obviously towering above everyone else, holding the player's hand. I just thought it was something to mention. I thought it's hilarious.
Utter respect for him doing it.
I mean, he sounds like he'd
Have
be a good laugh
you
anyway.
seen the video of him walking out?
Yes.
It's hilarious.
I have. He has to duck to get out of the tunnel.
It's brilliant. Yeah, fair play, Peter Crouch.
I just thought it was absolutely hilarious. And obviously I had no idea about it. Apparently people were talking about it for ages, but Sholing were the ones that tweeted it as well, and they said just to Peter Crouch isn't starting for the away team, and I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, I just thought it was absolutely fantastic, and I think that Peter Crouch always, okay, yes, he's got his connection to that lot down the road, but he always seems like someone that's up for a laugh.
Yeah. Right, now's the time, chap. I want to know what you think is going to be your predictions for Derby Day Saints Pompey. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You can go first this time.
2-0 Saints.
Interesting. Goal scorers?
Archer.
Yeah.
The second one's difficult. Archer and I want one of the new boys to score.
Yeah.
Fellows. Archer and Fellows. Let's do that.
I am fangirling over the fact that Tom Fellows play for our football club, as you well know.
I know.
Because I think he's a fantastic player. I can still see us conceding though, so I'll go 2-1 Saints.
Okay.
I can still see us conceding.
Goal scorers?
I think Archer and Fellows.
What I was going to say to the Fellows also was a Ryan Manning free kick. I think a Ryan Manning left-footed free kick in front of the Northern Men would go down a treat.
Well, it did a few weeks ago. Look, obviously predictions are predictions, and it can go either way. I just think that we're in a situation where,
yeah,
honestly, I wish I could sit here now and give you a goal scorer, a score prediction based on the formation we're going to play. So if we played 5 at the back, it might be this. If we play 4 at the back,
no.
If we could guarantee 4 at the back, I'd be like 3-0.
So we have some predictions coming from the chat now. Garsty and Matt Jones have proven how they do or don't please their wives, because they were way ahead of what I told them to hold on to it. They nutted early. Garsty went for 3-2 Saints. First goal, own goal from one of their defenders. Thanks, Garsty, for that. Matty Jones said 5-1 Saints. Love to give a good stuffing. I mean, that would be peak. Quit the season after that, honestly. 3-0 Saints from Cameron. Archer ×2 and Robertson to come off on the bench and become a legend. That'd be cool, wouldn't it, actually, if young Robinson did it. And then everyone would be tired of
I love the comment at the end of that, and that ball bag
bookkeeping lizard cries into his Sunday roasts. Perfect. Danny Jones says 3-0 Saints. Matt McManus says 3-1 Archer, Taylor Howard-Bellis and Azaz. Interesting. Matt Jones just writes Cienza.
Thanks, Matty. Brilliant.
Thanks, Matty. Cool, yep. Rickson says 1-0 Azaz. Dotsy says 2-0 Fraser and Archer. Interesting. Danny F says 3-0 Saints, Stevens, Archer and Robinson.
I'd love to actually even see
I like the fact that when you look through this, right, I like the fact that people seem to be having a degree of a little bit more belief in Cam Archer. which is quite nice because
we've always known he can do it, and we now know that he's got the players behind him to help us do it.
But if you look at a lot of that, it's Archer and others, Archers and other, and I really like that. I'm kind of glad for him because I'm glad for any player who has had a bit of a bad run, lack of consistent starting football, and then potentially finds his confidence and starts banging goals in again.
But the important thing with someone like Cameron Archer is that if he plays for an hour on Sunday, and doesn't score, don't drop him for the next game unless he has.
No, I agree. Especially if he's looked dangerous and caused problems. But the finish that he put away in the cup was a beautiful finish with his wrong foot. The finish that he put away in the game after was a poacher's finish. I think we might be seeing Archer start to find some form again. Often we've said this in the past about other players, especially years and years ago when we used to watch Saints Ash, and we go, you know what? He just needs the ball to hit him on the arse and go in the net, and then he might go on a scoring run. We see it for strikers all over the place.
I think all the strikers need it, to be honest, at the moment. I just think that
confidence is king, right?
Yeah, the situation we're in right now, I just want, and we said it from the start, and I'll repeat it again, I just want Will Steele to put four at the back and give the players their freedom, because if you start Flynn Downs and Che Charles, Caspi Ander, yes, he's not played in England. Yes, he's played in Derby before, though.
For him.
So he's a professional. They're still professional footballers, so
exactly.
he still should be able to come on and do it.
And I agree. This has been my point forever, right? They're paid a certain amount of money, a lot more than you or I. So I know that you can go, they haven't played in England, they haven't played together. I'm like, I don't care. You get paid thousands a week to kick a ball. Get on with it. In the meantime, we have had a little bit of funding come through this particular stream. I wasn't going to bang on about it today because it's all of our loyal regulars, but thank you so much anyway, you wonderful humans. We operate this podcast currently at a loss. All the extra members and stuff definitely help that. I appreciate you all for it. You're amazing. We have got Matty McManus has come on with $2. This is Dance Ash, up the Saints and bring on the skates. And then Yeston, he gifted 11 in total.
11
in total. I think that feels like that's probably enough for a little dance.
Yeah. But I've got to do the dance. I've got to do the end. Can I promise?
So do you do your up the Saints bit and then start dancing as I end the show?
Yeah, should we do that?
Should we do that? You get a dance, right?
Are you happy with that, guys?
I love the band and the goal music, says Caroline Phillips. I think a lot of people do. I think the band music, the goal music is the only one for me that's a bit contentious. If we're 3-0 down on the 89th minute, we score a goal, don't play the music. Like Ash said before, read the room. Don't do it. If we're 1-1 and we score in the 89th minute to win a game, play the fucking music.
Do you know what my ideal scenario would be? It's Joe Rebo to score a late winner from Complete Darkness, and we get to sing that song at the end of it. But that's just my own personal preference. I'd love that.
From Complete Darkness? What do you mean?
He's not been anywhere near the team, has he?
You guys have been amazing as always. We didn't think there'd be so many people turning up tonight because there's not really much to talk about apart from looking forward to this game on Sunday. Thank you to everybody who did show up. You're incredible. We love you. We are trying to, although we've hit the 1,000 subscriber mark, now we're trying to get to consistently 100 people a week watching, and then we'll try and push to like 150 and so on and so forth. So if you know people who are Saints fans, feel free to share the podcast with them. Tell them that you think it's great. It's worth tuning in on a Sunday evening at 8 p.m. every single Sunday at 8 p.m. But we appreciate you all. If you have hit that like button for us, we doubly appreciate you. And a big shout out to Matt McManus and Yeston for super chatting and gifting memberships as well. You people are incredible. Hopefully you've enjoyed the show. If you have, like I said, hit that like button, share it around. In about 15-20 minutes, it will go up on iTunes and Spotify as a podcast. You can listen to it there if you want to listen to it back and listen to it again. We load it up onto those systems every single week. If you're listening on iTunes and Spotify, you can come and find us live at 8 p.m. on YouTube every Sunday. It's the best way to consume the show because you will get to see Ash's dancing as well as listen to our wonderful voices, and you get to partake just by chatting in the chat. You get to be part of it. And as you've heard throughout all of the shows, we do like to pull comments out of the chat and mention what people say because you lot often have good points to talk about as well. So thank you. Anyway, this is an important one now, right?
There is a few. Hang on. So there are a few things that we also need to make chat aware of who potentially might be going to the game on Sunday as well.
Oh, right, yeah. You did put that in the show notes. I kind of glossed over it.
For those who, I thought you would. Because, why pay attention to the notes that I spend so long dealing with? For those who are going, obviously just need to be aware, firstly, that the road behind the stadium is closed. So you can't walk up your normal way if you go up through the industrial estate.
Check the website. They've got an article about it.
And secondly, for those who don't know, you probably do, but if you don't know, Southampton Central train station is closed.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to have to go to, St Denny's?
I don't think they've yet to. If you go to St Denny's, it's an easy walk-in.
Yes.
You can walk along the seafront and then in past Northern Depot.
Yes.
If you haven't already, go check the website. The website has got an article about what is closed and it's got a map showing you what's closed and what's open. there was something else as well. Oh, there was rumours that they were bringing the Pompey fans down the M271. They're not. They're not going to do that. If I was a betting man, I would bet they'd bring them down Thomas Lewis Way.
Yes.
Straight to centre of town.
I would
which will
so.
be very interesting if all the Saints fans are coming out of St Denny's train station.
I believe, if I remember rightly, they're holding the away fans in the stadium for a little bit longer. So
yeah,
it'd be amazing if we do smash them and they have to sit there and pity.
Please check before you travel. But more importantly than checking before you travel, please stay safe, look after yourself, don't do anything stupid. Banter's fine, laughing and joking's fine, having a few beers is fine. Hurling Pompey abuse and calling them skate fuckers is fine, but keep it legal and keep it, what's the word I'm looking for? Non-offensive isn't the right word, but you get what I'm saying. I don't want to hear about any kind of racist abuse. I don't want to hear about any kind of things being thrown like coins and house bricks and stuff like that. And I know it sounds extreme, but we've had our house bricks lobbed at us when we went to Fratton Park. So, you know.
I mean, to be fair, part of that was probably because you were giving it large. And threatening every man and his dog. But
don't know what we're talking about.
Just make sure.
What are you talking about?
Just make sure you get to the ground early, soak up the atmosphere, and we will be back on Sunday night.
Yeah, Cam says, right, we're not Liverpool fans. I know it sounds harsh to people that are Liverpool fans because not every Liverpool fan's like that, but you get the point, right? Keep it within the law, and everyone's happy. We have a good time, and hopefully we come away having smashed the skates and we get bragging rights until the game at Fratton Park. Hopefully we then do it again, and we keep bragging rights for the rest of the season. We go up, they go down. We keep it for the next 10 years, banging.
Happy days.
Now, this is important, this one.
Oh, God, I feel so much pressure.
You always feel the pressure, but this is really important, this one. This has got to be like a loud, guttural, you get up the Saints like that, right?
Well, you just did it. There you go.
No.
No, but I need to...
I don't end the show.
The problem is, this is pressure because I need to do this. I need to go straight into a dance.
Yes, you do.
Well, I'm not going to go straight into the dance. I'll make sure you're pressing that button first. I'll do the dance behind the crest.
No, that's not what they paid for.
Well, no, because they want to see you dance. They want to see you dance too.
Yeah, start the dance.
They want to see you dance too.
Start the dance. Right, Ash.
Oh, God, here we go.
Rousing words of encouragement for the Saints before we go. Any message for the Saints for next week?
Up the Saints! Come on, you Reds!
Yeah, it's good. I like that.
Oh, sorry. I'll do a proper David Brent. You're not joining in. We're not joining in.
I'm not. I'm just letting you do this and not pressing the button.
Macarena.